Welcome to round 3 for highlights of our 75-minute race at Spa-Francorchamps. With 23 cars on the grid, it was Corsaro and the only BMW taking pole position in qualifying. But as the green flag was waved, it was Walker leading the pack into Eau Rouge. Walker should have been staying in second for the rolling start. As they arrived at Lacombe for the first time, our championship leader Whitlock ran over the corner, but managed to avoid contact, although lost a few positions. At the back there was some drama, sparked by very slight contact, but it was enough to send 3 cars sideways. Fukara, Collis and Bowers all lost time from the incident. On board with Golden, you can see his narrow escape. On lap 2, Lolovic overtook Portis to move into third. His only result had been 10th at Misano, so he was looking good, potentially in a podium position. Lap 3 was dramatic as it saw the first spin at Eau Rouge. Pitch was in 14th and lost a few positions. Despite the yellow flag, it was difficult for approaching cars to see the danger ahead over the corner. But luckily for Colbert and Gold, they arrived just late enough to avoid a collision. Further up the track, Rasmussen in 6th had the same mishap as his teammate a couple of laps earlier, running off at Lacombe and painfully losing 13 positions as he very carefully returned to the track. He regained consistency and eventually moved back into the top 10. Also on lap 3, our race leader Walker dropped all the way to 19th and must have felt absolutely gutted as he spun. Things almost got worse as Wet Chaser narrowly avoided running into him. Lap 4 would also be a dramatic one. Ginks found himself in the shade sandwich, with Tim ahead and Dan behind. Dan managing to get past put them into 5th and 6th. So the Shade Bros racing team were looking at another good haul of points if they could stay consistent. No doubt Ginks was hoping to retake his position, but had slight contact with Whitlock behind, and unfortunately ended up facing backwards. Whitlock continued on, but Ginks would retire. Further back there was more trouble at Eau Rouge. Fukara lost grip and crashed heavily, and would spend a fair amount of time in the pits. At the end of the lap, Walker was trying to regain lost positions, and was side by side with Colbert fighting over 17th. The two came together, and once again Walker was facing backwards. Despite the frustrations, he rejoined the track down in 21st, but like Rasmussen, he'd make a comeback and get back into the top 10. Fortunately for Casey Gould arriving at high speed, Walker's car in that incident didn't roll backwards. In a similar incident a lap later, Hosick was looking good in 9th, having had a rough season so far, but bad luck struck again. Slight contact with Panda put them into the wall. Hosick took his mandatory pit stop then and there, and another narrow escape, this time for Tripod, arriving at high speed. And then perhaps shaken up by the incident, missed his braking point and ran off track. Fukara's 8th lap saw another crash at Eau Rouge, again leading to time in the pits. Likewise, on Bauer's 8th lap, the same thing happened. It looked like Eau Rouge needed very gentle steering and a willingness to cut the corner if grip was lost. Lolovic was running in 2nd and had a couple of cars behind exchanging positions. A mishap at Eau Rouge let Friesen go through, but Lolovic had done well to keep the car pointing forwards. A few laps later, Portis also got through, with Dan Shade just behind. And Dan did get through a lap later, as again we saw a Bentley outbraking itself into Lacombe. Then on lap 15, Portis, not wanting to fight at that point in the race, slowed down, letting Dan Shade move into 3rd. On Bauer's 16th lap there was more Eau Rouge trouble, leading to another pit stop. On lap 20 our race leader Corsaro came in for his mandatory pit stop. Friesen was in 2nd, but just ended up in 5th at the end of his pit stop. Polo had done his pit stop and was holding 9th. But an extra pit stop following a crash at Eau Rouge put him down to 20th, Not a good one for Bowers, another incident at Eau Rouge and back to the pits again. A good performance by Corsaro. Tricky conditions, trying to get through 31 laps of Spa, half of it in the dark. But Corsaro fastest in qualifying and staying consistent to take his first win, half a minute ahead of Dan Shade and taking the fastest lap. Friesen took third, but it was Lolovic in third right up until the end. Again, a Bentley outbraking itself, and then strangely bumped into the pit entrance. So Lolovic crossed the line in the pits. A good race for Portis in fourth despite a slow pit stop. You can see the results got shaken up after the consistency of the previous two races. 3 drivers getting their first podiums this season. The rules for retirements might change in the near future, so drivers retiring might not be awarded points. The top 3 teams are very close, with the Shade Bros closing the gap to the top. Not the best race for the Bentleys, and Team Corsaro jumping up despite only having 1 driver. So that was our dramatic round 3, and we'll be back with highlights from Kyle Army, so we'll see you then.